We the lazy declare that we will recline when we feel inclined. And yes, we feel inclined.
We answered our kids' questions all day. It's our time to prioritize, no priorities.
Why?
Because
we put in back-to-back doubles. So now we'll be putting in extra OT right here.
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off our to-don't list.
we the lazy are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our Lazy Boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.
When storms start to blow and danger strikes, we come together to face any challenge as a community. And when trouble hits our county, HCFL Alert is your #1 source for information. HCFL Alert is with you before, during, and after the storm. To sign up, visit hcfl.gov/HCFL Alert so we know how and when to notify you about local emergencies. The safest way through bad weather is together.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips. Heat, still the hot topic of weather conversation, right?
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live, brought to you by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. Long live the lazy, and by HCFL Alert.
How you doing, everybody? It is a Thursday night, and this is our regularly scheduled edition of Dennis Phillips Live. We'll be having another one tomorrow night. Obviously, there is a lot of stuff to talk about, the stuff behind me. So we're going to kind of take our time. I don't know if your flight's been canceled. If you're cruising to the Bahamas, you're okay. If you're cruising, cough. If you're cruising out of Tampa, you'll be fine. May get a little rough down by the Keys, but probably not. You can take your dog out to walk on Sunday morning, but by the afternoon it's going to rain. I think that's about it. So we'll probably lose about 2,000 of our viewers right now because that was one of the questions that you wanted to know. All the flights canceled ones are the, I literally will post, can't answer if your flight's getting canceled. 2 seconds later. So I have a flight from Boston to, does anybody listen? I don't know. I don't know. All right. Can't answer your flight's getting canceled, but I can give you all of the relevant information that maybe you can come up with, what you think is going to happen where you are. All right. There are so many things to go over, maybe more so with this storm. This storm, to be, is going to take us really in an area that we haven't done in a while because you're looking at almost every possible scenario on the face of the earth is out there. Yes, the models have come into agreement, but here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm just going to give you an overview of everything that I know right now, okay? We'll show you the forecasts. We'll show you the models. We'll show you the spaghettis. We'll show you all this stuff. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, except for if your flight's going to be canceled, because I don't know. More than that, I mean, sometimes there's delays because of heavy rain. That's something I can't figure out, so you get where I'm going. Okay, we normally do hellos. This is a group that's been here for over 10 years, but when you've got over, 4,000, 5,000 people in here, it's obviously a little bit difficult to do all the hellos. So I know we have folks watching in the Panhandle, the Big Bend, and across the entire state. Probably across the entire world, because we have folks in England and whatnot doing as well. So let's just go ahead and jump in here, and I'm going to give you and what's nice is, when I'm on TV, I get 4.5 minutes to talk about what's happening. I can talk about this as long as we need to, and we're going to. Estelle in Palm Harbor, how you doing? Largo's in the houses too. Wants to know if you're going to need to have a poncho at Disney this weekend. Yes, you will. Okay, I'm not even going to be looking at the comments now because if I look at them, then I'm going to start to try to answer them, and I don't want to because I don't know if your flight's going to be delayed. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to do something that I haven't done here for a while, and I'm going to do it right here. So check this out. I'm going to do a little weather stuff with this monitor like I do on TV because I want to show you something. All right, so And it's easier maybe seen this way. All right, so there is your tropical wave, okay? When we talk about a tropical, see, I can't see your comments from over here, so it's even easier. Again, I will answer at the end, but not right now, okay? So this is your tropical wave. The center of a very loosely organized area of low pressure is right now, it's actually over Haiti. It's actually maybe even, looks like it's retrograded a little bit, but here's something I want to throw out here, and I'm pretty sure you haven't heard this anywhere else, but this is something that kind of happens, and it's important to remember. I want you to liken this giant blob to a whack-a-mole game, okay? You guys know the games, right? They have them at the carnival, and you have the little mallet, and the little moles come in. You got to pick which one because they're always moving, right? Okay, so when you have, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm saying this has happened before, and it can create mayhem when it comes to models changing in a very short period of time. So the models that are running, okay, they are basing the center of circulation right there, as loosely and ill-defined as it is. But when you have a system that is over land, sometimes that center relocates to a spot where it might be a little bit easier to develop, say 30 miles to the north. Not saying this has happened, but I'm going to give you every step of the way from where it is now to impacts all the way up the eastern seaboard, potential impacts, okay? So the reason I'm talking about this is because is it possible that that low center might, like, let's just say, and I've seen it before, I'm not saying it here, but let's say all of a sudden you get a burst of convection north of this, and all of a sudden that becomes your new low center. Well, if that were to be the case, the models would go drastically more to the right. If it was recentered down below the island or below Cuba, then the models would change drastically left, and you would wake up and 6 hours later, it would be a night and day different scenario. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I'm saying is we do not have a well-defined center of circulation. We have something enough to run the models. But when something travels over land like this, crazier things have happened, and you could get some massive changes in the model output. Again, not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying it has happened before. To quote Charlton Heston in Armageddon, it happened before, it will happen again. Yeah, that was in Armageddon. Movie buff. So, wanted to throw that out there. Now let's get back. Okay, so you have a very large, broad area of low pressure that is going to travel, expected to travel to the west-northwest, and you see where the red hatched area starts. That is where the Hurricane Center is saying once it gets to there, the probability of development is up to 70%. Now, we actually are going to get a new update from the NHC any second, and they might have bumped it up even more, or they might decide to bump it up even more. I'm looking as we speak here if we have the new one or the old one. Still the 2 o'clock advisory. So anyway, it's moving west, northwest, right? Traveling over land, and you can just, and again, look how broad this is. And I want to throw one thing here. I'm going to bring myself up here to make a point on here. So for the people, and I know a lot of people get nervous with this stuff. I totally get it. But over the last 10 years, we have had Cat 5 hurricanes move into the area that you're looking at right here and aiming right toward the state of Florida. And I sense people, maybe it's because the first storm of the year, I sense people as nervous with this one as they are if this was a Cat 5 barreling in. And it's just ridiculous. There's no need to be that way when it comes to our area. If this were to turn into something that would be more formidable, stronger, it would be more in the northern Gulf. And we've been saying that for 2 or 3 days now, because it would have more time to go over the water, the warmer water, and tap more of that energy, right? But this is a ragged nothing burger right now. I'm not saying it's going to stay that way. We don't think it will. But I'm just saying you got to dial it down a little bit, because if you're freaking out about this one, if you live anywhere from Tampa southward, there's just no need to do so. There's not, based on our current track and our current thinking. Now, if we wake up and that new center is 60 miles more to the north, and all the models have shifted east, that's another animal. But I'll say this again, I'm not going to get into all those what ifs. We will drive ourselves bonkers if we sit there and say, well, what if it does this? And what if it does this? There's an infinite number of what ifs. And that being the case, how do you know what you're going to do? How do you keep it straight? You can't. So I repeat, look, this is a ragged system that the Hurricane Center thinks will probably develop into a tropical depression or maybe even a tropical storm. Let me tell you, the Euro doesn't even develop it. Now, granted, the Euro has not been as good with this storm. The GFS has been the one on the west side, and it's been more accurate. But the GFS is doing the same thing. One run takes it as a hurricane. Next run weakens it a lot. So until, say it again, until we have an organized system, until we actually have a well-defined center of circulation that ain't going anywhere, there can always be changes, okay? All right, so let's go back to full screen again. You should not cancel your Disney plans for Saturday. Saturday is going to be a typical normal day. Saturday is going to be sunny with some late-day storms. The rain doesn't arrive until later Sunday and into Monday. I can't not look at your comments because honestly, they make me laugh and I'm like addicted to them. And I look over and now Iris is saying I need an assistant to read comments. No, Iris, I don't, because I'm not answering questions right now. I've said that. If you're just tuning in, you might have missed the beginning. Questions are not part of the agenda. It's not on the syllabus right now. What is going through the hour by hour, step by step, and then at the end I'll answer questions, especially because the streamers can't ask questions anyway. So I'll probably be answering questions once the streamers go away, which is at 8 o'clock. Personally, I think the streamers should stay later than 8 when there's a hurricane or a tropical storm, but that's not my call. All right, so there we go. Again, everything's moving to the west, northwest at 21 miles an hour. Now, look at the next map. Look at where the spaghetti models show it's going to go. This thing, and by the way, don't look at the purple one. That's the ship model, and people are like, what did he just say? SHIP, ship model. And that one is usually inaccurate, okay? So as it goes west-northwest over Cuba, again, it's going to have a really tough time developing further. Is it possible the new center could form south of Cuba? It absolutely is. That's what I was talking about, the whole whack-a-mole syndrome. And if that's the case, the track will be even more to the west, which, oh, by the way, that's what the Euro is predicting. The Euro is predicting, all right, I'm going to explain this, all right? We're getting back into the sciencey part again. Okay, so when you have a tropical system, you have different layers of the atmosphere, okay? You have a low-level circulation, you have a mid-layer circulation. If those two are vertically stacked, you're going to have better development, okay? But if you've got one here and one here, not vertically stacked, it's more of a challenge for this to develop. The European is not predicting a vertically stacked area. It's predicting more of an offset. And the low-level circulation is south of Cuba, while the mid-level is over Cuba. If that is the case, you are going to have a storm that is going to go more to the west because the low level is south and it's going to be taking more of a longer turn. Now, that's not to say it still can't develop and go into the northern Gulf, but it would even lower the chance of impact for the Bay Area directly. So again, until we have a storm that has emerged off of land, that is an organized system, there can still be question marks, and there still will be question marks. All right? Okay. Comments do make me laugh. I'm not going to lie, though they do. All right, so anyway, there are the spaghetti models. They're kind of all over the place. Well, I'm going to show you another spaghetti plot here. And let me call this up over here. Where is it? All right, here we go. This is a little harder to see, but I'm going to call it up anyway. Okay, so here is a look at more spaghetti plots. This is all of these models you see over on the right. The UK Met, you've got the Canadian, the ensemble from the GFS. It does not have the Euro on here. Usually the Euro is not as part of a spaghetti model plot because I think the Euro has some sort of a contract and they don't release their information on spaghetti plots. But regardless, look at where these go. The coastline of Florida is right there. Look at where these are. You know, all within maybe 50 to 150 miles west of the coastline. So again, based on a open wave, or maybe not quite an open, yeah, it's still a tropical wave, but point is, they're west. And if this center were to develop even more to the west, then all of a sudden, you're going to have a storm that's going to stay well west of Florida. All right, let's look at some of the models here. We're going to start with the GFS. Okay, the GFS has been the most aggressive model with this thing for quite a while, and I gotta get the, okay, so here we go. So there's the center over Cuba, starts to lift up. Now the GFS at this point is far enough offshore, but it's an east-weighted system, which most tropical systems that are weak are, and it starts to develop it pretty quickly. And truth be told, the GFS has a mid-level tropical storm just west of the Bay Area Sunday afternoon, about 2 o'clock. All right, that's the GFS's latest run. The bulk, and if that were to be the case, we'd get 50-mile-an-hour winds here and some really heavy rain. At this point, that is the worst-case scenario of all the current model runs. That is the GFS. And then it starts to go north. This one does not stall it out, and then it continues to go, and I'll show you where it's going to go in a minute. All right, so let's go to the next one. Here is the Euro. Okay, the Euro, as I said, goes much more to the west. I don't like the way that these graphics work. Hold on, let me take this full, see if it lets me. I don't know if it lets me. Yeah, that's a little better. All right, so again, here's the Euro, and watch what it does. It goes to the west, and then it brings, God, this is bad. It brings it into the Big Bend area as a 1,009 millibar tropical depression. It's not even a tropical storm. It looks scary, all the red, right? But that's just a depression into the Big Bend. Now, there's a new model out there, and I think it's really fascinating, and I will get a little sciencey with you on this because I think it's kind of interesting. So the Euro has come out with an AI run. You're like, oh boy, it's AI again. It's kind of cool. What they've done is they've taken all the data that they have ever gathered since 1940, and they have put it in a computer and make a model out of it, all right? And what they've done is then they take the current conditions and try to compare the current conditions to an analog year or an analog event of a previous time. And so what the AI model does is gives you a track based on similar situations at a previous point in time. It's climatology, it's not meteorology. It's purely based on what's happened in the past and comparing the current conditions to it. But it's kind of interesting. And so that's a new run you may have heard of, the Euro, the ERA AI. It's based on 85 years of data and how it impacts that. So I think that's kind of cool, actually. But anyway, at the end of the day, when you're looking, I'm trying to find the map here. Here's your wave. You've got a tropical wave. It is still an open wave. It is not an area of low pressure yet. It's going to go through Cuba, and then it's going to start to lift north. The key to all of this is the ridging of high pressure. Does it slow it down? Does it block it? Does it have a little break as the trough digs down? I won't get into all those details just because I know we have a lot of folks here who are less sciencey than others and not interested in it. They just want to know how it's going to impact them. So here's the rainfall potential. I think this is a little high. This is from the Climate Prediction Center. They have a tendency to go a little bit high on rainfall predictions. If you remember a couple of months ago, they were predicting like 10 to 12 inches of rain in our area, and we got like 2. But clearly what this shows us is that there's going to be widespread rain across the state Sunday and Monday and tapering off on Tuesday, okay? So let's see. What else did I want to show you? All right, we've looked at the models. Let me see if we have a new update yet. And then I'm going to start giving specifics. Yep, here's the new update. New update is in, and it is still 70%. So it is, and you can go ahead and read it. Here, go ahead and read it if you want to. We will let you see what the Hurricane Center is saying. Okay? It's up to 40% in 2 days, still 70%. Straits of Florida and eastern Gulf of Mexico, a well-defined tropical wave, not low pressure yet, tropical wave, it's not a closed low, is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms over Hispaniola, the southeastern Bahamas, and the adjacent waters of the southwestern Atlantic. The wave is expected to move west-northwest near or over Cuba on Friday and then emerge over the Straits of Florida Friday night or Saturday. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for additional development after that time, and a depression is likely to form this weekend over the Straits of Florida or eastern Gulf of Mexico near the Florida Peninsula. Regardless of development, heavy rains could cause areas of flash flooding across Florida, Cuba, and the Bahamas through the weekend. A NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate this system on Friday if necessary. Probability of development, 70%. So it is still not a guarantee that this thing is even going to develop at all. And again, the last run, the Euro does not have it developing. So that's all the sciencey stuff. That's all the models. That's all the fact that whack-a-mole may cause it to change its center a little bit and maybe change some modeling that way. Let's talk about what we think is going to happen. All right? Let's get down to it. It only took me 21 minutes and 25 seconds to get there. All right, streamers have another 8.5 minutes. All right, Friday, completely normal day. You look at the spaghetti track, it's going to go over Cuba. Probably maintain, unless a new center forms north of Cuba and it has a chance to wrap up a little bit more. Otherwise, we're just looking at a normal day for the state of Florida. No issues, no travel delays, no flights canceled on Friday. If you're thinking of going on a cruise tomorrow out of Tampa, they'll probably go a roundabout way and go back that way. I think the cruise will not, I don't think they'll cancel the cruise. Normally cruises only get canceled as if the ports are closed because of a storm at that time where they're either docking or they're coming back, or they're leaving rather. So usually cruise ships will just go out somewhere, like they'll just go out in the Western Gulf. They may not go to the ports, but they'll find a place where there's no tropical system and you guys can, go to the buffet and whatever. So it's all good. That's Friday. Saturday, still a normal day. No changes. Sunny in the morning, sunny early afternoon, late day storms. The next 2 days, you're going to have a perfectly normal August pattern for the state of Florida. Okay? Sunday. At that point, you more than likely have at least I would say still a tropical depression. I think the GFS is overdoing it. You're probably going to have a tropical depression coming in from the south, which will spread rain into the area. Now, if the GFS that I just showed you is right, yeah, flights would probably be delayed or canceled because that brought a strong tropical storm near our coastline Sunday evening. I'm not sold that's going to happen. At this point, I'm more inclined to think periods of heavy rain on Sunday, breezy conditions along the coast. People are asking about storm surge. Can't answer that question yet because we don't know how big this is going to be, but it is a sizable system in terms of spread, and we are coming up on a new moon, and there's going to be a decent high tide. I'll tell you exactly what the high tide is going to be, actually, on Sunday night, because I have not looked yet. So Sunday night, high tide will be, what is Sunday? Today's the 1st, 2nd, the 4th. 2.2 feet, 2.7 feet on Monday. So that's a pretty high tide. One of the higher tides of the month. So there is the possibility of some water, some coastal flooding in some spots. You know the usual spots, Shore Acres, whatnot. Places that flooded maybe in December with the last system. At high tide. That is a possibility. No one's really talked about it yet because we don't even know how big this storm is going to be, how well organized it's going to be. But at this point, I'm more inclined to say periods of heavy rain on Sunday afternoon. You want to go to Disney? Go to Disney. Just bring your poncho. Little tidbit, Greg D is going to be going to Disney this weekend. He's like, Dennis, I'm going to do a live from Disney. I'm going to bring my poncho. So you do not need to cancel Disney plans. Disney will only close if it's a big hurricane in the area. And at this point, I do not expect that. Now, is it possible? We all know, of course it is. Look, you guys live in Florida. You know these things can be just a bear to predict. Rapid changes. A lot of times we feel like we're chasing our tail because things can change so quickly. But you got to remember, at this point, until we see a low that has a well-defined center and it's off of the land, are we really going to know exactly where it's going to go? So my suggestion, again, you got nothing to worry about anywhere from Tampa Bay southward. All right? If Saturday morning we see it start to develop and the models are coming back a little bit more to the east because the center is a little more north, well, then maybe we're going to have some stronger winds. I think, in my opinion, worst case scenario for us in our area would be a tropical storm force winds from Tampa southward. Sunday afternoon and Sunday night. I am not predicting that, but that's worst case scenario. And I'm telling you that because I at least know where I think the limits are going to be. There will be no evacuations. There will be no issues. North of the Bay Area, specifically north of Citrus County in the Big Bend area, up to the Panhandle, that would be an area we're more concerned about because obvious reasons. It's going to have more time to stay over the water and to move north. And when it does, it could certainly warm, or it could get in strength rather. I usually use the term rocket fuel, but we had a guy who used to work here. He's like, Dennis, technically it's not rocket fuel because rocket fuel is cold. I'm like, dang, you're right. But I still call it rocket fuel because it's kind of like rocket fuel, right? There's a lot of energy there. So timing again, Saturday normal, Sunday, rain moving in from the south, heavy at times. How much rain are we talking? There will be bands. There will be areas that are getting it more than others. Obviously, the Climate Prediction Center is far more bullish on rainfall totals, as you see right here. Check it out. Right there. And I actually have a map on this computer here. I can show you what it's also going to show. Stand by. Let's go to this one. And that is your rainfall through Sunday at 1 o'clock. And then that's through Monday at 7. So notice where the heaviest rain will be along the coast. The farther inland you are, the less rain you're going to see. Okay? Chad, good question. I'll mention that next. But that is your overall rain. And that just answered your question as you look off to the northeast, where the heaviest rainfall totals will be northeast. Last night, we were talking about the possibility of that ridge building back in and blocking this system and causing it to stall for a couple of days like Elena did back in the middle 80s. Last night, the models were showing that. There is a high to the west, a high to the east, and a trough that's digging down between the two. And that trough is the main reason it's going to pull this thing up north. But at the same time, once it left, it looked as though that ridge was going to build back in and kind of block it from moving too much. It's like in a dead zone with no steering currents. Latest model runs are not showing that anymore. They're slowing it down, but they're not stalling it. So they're keeping it to the northeast, okay? So if you're watching on the streaming app, I encourage you to go over to Facebook because the streamers are gone in a minute and I'm going to start answering questions. But I'll repeat, tomorrow, Friday, normal day. Saturday, normal day. Sunday, rain moving in from the south, breezy along the coast. I am not buying at this point the GFS developing this to nearly a hurricane off the coast. Is it possible? Look, we all know anything's possible. That is not the route that I'm going right now. I'm inclined to think more of a westerly track, but again, at this point, it really depends on where that low forms. And if I don't go to sleep during hurricanes, but if you wake up in the morning and that low is 60 miles more to the north, then that's all it is. That's why these are so tough. People think, oh, you're thousands of miles. A 30-mile swing here is a 300-mile swing 500 miles down the road. Why do I say that? Imagine a steering wheel. You turn it just a little bit. 100 feet from now, you're not moving much. 5 miles, you're all the way on the other side of the state. So the point is, a little change in that track of that low could drastically change the ultimate track of this storm. So we need that closed low, and then we'll be able to know exactly where it's going. Streamers, Thanks for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow night, and check us out on Facebook. Okay, so streamers are gone. So that takes us through Sunday, all right? Monday, this storm has already moved into the Big Bend area and moving inland. So whether it's the Big Bend or whether it's the Panhandle, wherever that is, let's go back. Oh, let's look at that one. All right, so let's look at the GFS versus the Euro here. Okay, so there's your spaghetti models, most of them west, by the way. All right, so here's the GFS is in white, the Euro is in blue, okay? I think. Yeah, so look at where, can I write on this? Yes, okay. So here's your GFS right here. That is Sunday as it moves on shore. Remember, because it was going to be close to Tampa and then kind of move on shore right about here. Look at the Euro. The Euro is weaker and more to the west. Matter of fact, here, I got a better one than those circles. Let's use this. So here's the GFS on Sunday as it moves on shore. Here is the Euro on Sunday, more to the west. Now, let's go to Monday. Now, you're asking about how Monday's going to be impacted? Well, look at that, because it's not letting me erase those circles. Look at where the GFS is. I wonder why it's not letting me do that. I don't know. Anyway, look at where the white is. The GFS is getting stronger as it moves up the eastern seaboard. The Euro kind of hangs back a little bit. I'm curious why this is not letting me, I might have to reboot that or something. Oh, no. Now I know, there we go. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So look at the GFS on Wednesday. It's by the Carolinas. The Euro is much weaker. So overall, the GFS is far more aggressive in development. It's a little bit closer to the coast. The Euro last run is much weaker. Matter of fact, like I said, it's not vertically stacked. The Euro never really develops this thing outside of a depression. And I think that's kind of underplaying it a little bit. You ask me what I really think is going to happen. I think we're going to have a low to mid-end tropical storm, maybe west or just northwest of Tampa, and eventually turning into a stronger tropical storm in the northern Gulf and possibly even a hurricane. Impacts in the Bay Area, breezy conditions along the coast, maybe some gusty winds and some squally weather. Nothing to freak out about. We'll see what the zero-Z GFS shows. But again, I'll say this again, until we have an actual closed low and until we have something that is actually there and we see where it is and it's not going to play whack-a-mole and change the center, we're still at the mercy of models that are going to be changing back and forth. Okay, so yeah, we talked about Elena yesterday. I don't think this is going to pull in Elena. Last night, that high was building back in. Today, it looks like it's giving enough room for these storms to escape across northern Florida and out into the eastern seaboard. Matter of fact, let's see, that's what these models are showing as well. So if you look right here, they kind of go right along the eastern seaboard or right in there. So either way, that's bringing some significant range to the Carolinas. So at this point, that's kind of where we are, all right? I know it doesn't answer all your questions, and I will answer questions now. I know it doesn't answer all your questions, but I wanted to tell you and show you how we got to where we are. But my message to you is, do I think we are looking at a significant system in the Bay Area? I do not. Do I think it's going to be something people are going to be evacuating? I do not. Is it something that I think, as it moves north, could turn into something more significant? Yes, I do. And I think that could even mean a hurricane in the northern Gulf. I do think that's a possibility. It's a possibility for the Bay Area as well, because the GFS is showing that. I'm just inclined to thinking it's overdoing it a little bit. But we have 2 days of this, right? It's this whole being stalked by a turtle thing. It's been so slow. Guys, we're going to be doing this another 5 or 6 times throughout hurricane season, and probably with bigger threats than this one. Because I'll repeat, how many storms in September do we see those big old Cat 4 or Cat 5s moving into an area, and that hatched area is in Florida? Now, those are the ones that you should be really concerned about. I'm certainly not going to say write this off because that'd be ridiculous. A lot of warm water, a track close to Florida. This could be a strong tropical storm and cause some issues. But the bigger threat are going to be the ones later this month and even more into September, in my opinion. Okay? All right, so what questions do you have? And the first one's going to be, when's my flight canceled? All right. Can we see the next 2 weeks? Yes, David, you can. All right, so let's go up. That's my, let me switch this over here. So you guys know we do a lot of fundraising with rule number 7 for Children's Miracle Network, All Children's Hospital, Feeding Tampa Bay, and people are like, why do you have all those Etsy windows open on your page? Well, these are our rule number 7 stuff where we donate the proceeds to those places. So you've got all your logos, you've got tank tops, hoodies, hats, all sorts of stuff. Gators, USF, UCF, FSU, you know, the whole Rays, Bucks, Lightning, all sorts of stuff. So those are all, so if you look at the top of my Facebook page, you will see the links to all these different tumblers and whatnot. And again, there's UCF's colors, and there's Miami, and there's USF, and again, proceeds, as I said, benefit all those local charities. There's the Gators, there's the Knowles. Anyway, let's go back. There's the Bucks. All right, so this is the map you were asking about, and this is this next week. We already have this one, all right, with another one right behind it. And that solid red means there's over a 40% likelihood that this turns into a tropical depression or a tropical storm between August 7th and August 13th. What's behind that? Another one the following week. They are going to come off of Africa one after another like a conga line. That is just the way it's going to happen. Cannot fix the Instagram screen. That is a great point, and you know, I probably should not even show Instagram, and let me tell you why. Because Instagram is filmed like this. Facebook, YouTube, and this software that I use to put it out to social is 16:9. So unfortunately, in using 16:9, it cuts off both sides on the right side. And there's not a thing I can do about it, unless I had 2 different streams going at the same time. But the problem with 2 streams is this other one for Instagram and TikTok, by the way, it's the same way. I could not show any graphics. So I chose just to have what it is, just because that way you can at least hear what we're talking about. But there is the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, granted, the keyword experimental right there on the top, right, there it is. So the 2 to 3 week stretch is obviously very difficult, but I am telling you, I don't care what the long-range forecasts have been. I don't look at them. I don't pay attention to that stuff. We are entering a stretch that it is going to get extremely active from mid-August to the end of September, as it usually does. And while I'm not sure we're going to get 24 named storms like some of the predictions were, we're going to get upper teens to around 20. And that means they're going to form one after another. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. We've said this a million times. Just this one is not our biggest. I would be willing to say this will not be our biggest threat of the season. Doesn't mean to write it off, but I'm just saying, I don't think this is going to be our biggest threat. I think there will be bigger threats to Florida coming up in September and into October as well. All right? Okay. So, yes, Melvin, the dad shoes will be making an appearance, as will the Diet Dr. Pepper. Okay, I'm looking at the questions now. So now I am going to actually look, and I'll answer whatever questions you have other than will your flight be canceled, because I don't know. And again, we're basing it on the current track. We have both seen a model change drastically in 12 hours, and the majority of the time with this kind of a setup is because there's a new center that developed. You know, people who don't know what they're talking about, and there's a lot of those on social media, they'll come out and say, oh, look, there's been a huge change in the models and this and that. The only change is that the center moved 40 miles north. And if this center were to redevelop 40 miles north, you would have a track 100 miles east. So there's all these little, and again, because we don't have a well-defined center or center at all, really, it's impossible to know exactly where this is going to go. Sometimes it's impossible even when you do have a center. You guys know it. But at this point, that's what we're waiting for. Exit Cuba, center of circulation, and then it's going to be a much easier forecast. In my opinion, Tampa south, it's going to be a little breezy, a little windy, and some rain. Some solid rain totals on Sunday night into Monday. If you live north of Tampa, especially, say, Citrus County northward, I think you're at a greater risk of more wind, depending on if this storm actually does develop. Because, by the way, the hurricane center is only going 70%. Usually by now they'd be going 80, 90, sometimes 100. They've locked in at 70. Now, granted, I think this is going to develop, but it is not a done deal. And oh, by the way, the most accurate model on Earth is not even developing it right now. So take a breath. Not a big deal at this point. Be prepared. Have a plan. Know what you're going to do. Get ready for the next 2.5 months, because if you're freaking out over this one, man, you're going to lose your mind by September or October. You will, because it's going to get a lot busier than what we got going on right now. Okay. Houston to Orlando on Sunday evening. You will be flying into the rain, Karen. Yes, you will. I will say, I can answer that. Yes, you will. Not like anti-M wind, although being in the northeast quadrant, we will see the chance of a few water spouts or a tornado or two. That is a possibility. Yes, it is. Have I ever been freaked out by a storm? I was pretty close with Ian, but no. No, because I was lucky enough to kind of feel confident in the way my forecast was going before it got to that point. But there were a lot of people with Irma and Ian, there is no doubt. Good, Linda, I'm glad to hear that. More red wine, more Diet Dr. Pepper. 100% agree with you. Yeah, 2004, Scott, you're right. We had 4 storms hit Florida. Ivan, Jean, Francis, Charlie. That in 40 days. That was crazy. Diane, you are exactly right. If you ever wondered why cruises are cheap in September, this is why. If you didn't know it, I mean, there it is. Because there's hurricanes all over the place. That is why cruises are cheap in September. Will it rain all day Monday in Pasco, Eric? It will not. It will rain most of the day. It'll taper off later on. Okay? Christine, good question. I think the rain will start late morning, early afternoon. Earlier south, I'm talking about the Bay Area directly, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete, and then build throughout the afternoon. Okay? Storm surge in the Bay Area, Heather. I do not, okay. If the GFS is right, there will be some surge. If the other models are right, there won't be much. It is coming on a high tide, so there could be some minor coastal flooding. Yes, there could be. Do I think it's going to be a significant surge? I mean, geez, if the GFS is right and we have a strong tropical storm, then yeah, there'd be a 3 or 4 foot surge. I just don't think the GFS is right. Okay. I'm looking. Treasure Island, again, Melissa, same thing. Breezy, no big deal. Maybe some slight water rise at high tide on Sunday night. Charlie was a rough one. Yes, Charlie was a scary one. In fact, I thought Charlie was our storm. I did. In 04, I really thought Charlie was our storm. Okay, yeah, my neighbors do that, Nancy. They kind of look. Well, if Dennis hasn't boarded up, we're not going to. If Dennis's family leaves, then we're going to get out of Dodge. Monday commute in Tampa. Nicole, it will be raining Monday morning. Missy, it's going to rain for that wedding, but they say it's good luck, right? Pinellas Park, it will be raining on Sunday night. Jacksonville Beach, some heavy rain. Track is dependent. You know, Jacksonville could get tropical storm force winds if this turns into a strong tropical storm based on that current track that you see right there. Should the Panhandle be concerned? The Panhandle should be on watch. The Panhandle should be on watch. Anybody in the northern Gulf Coast cannot write this off. If you live Tampa South, I'm pretty confident in saying, look, this is going to be some wind and some rain, not even a lot of wind, breezy, and some rain. But if you live in the northern Gulf Coast, anywhere from the Big Bend all the way to New Orleans, you cannot write this system off. You need to keep an eye on it. Miami will be fine on Sunday and Saturday. A little bit of rain, no big deal. Bill wants to know where the 540 line is. Yeah, exactly right, Sean. I don't leave. I'll be here at work. Eric, how you doing, my man? New moon on the 4th, yes. The llama check. Llama down. Inside baseball here. Oh, by the way, thanks for the stars. All the stars are donated out also to Children's Miracle Network as well. Okay. Right, Michael. It always seems to come at high tide. You're not wrong. Lately, we've had a lot of these storms come at high tide. Okay, Vicky wants to know when we'll have a better idea of exactly. It'll be Saturday morning. Because by even Friday night, possible, but by Saturday morning at the latest, Friday night possible, this will have gone over Cuba. The only thing is if, let's say, a new center forms earlier and it's north of the island, well, then we'll have a better idea, and it probably would be more inland. If all things are equal, and this forecast is remotely close in terms of when it develops and where it exits, like you're looking at the spaghetti models, Saturday morning, we will have a much better idea in terms of intensification. But obviously that Gulf is super warm, and that worries us in terms of rapid intensification, because that is a possibility. Okay. Lee County impacts, none. Yep, so Fort Myers and Naples, you guys got nothing to worry about. When is the pool party planned, Amanda? For what day? Saturday, you're fine. Sunday, probably not good. Debbie, I don't know where you live. You say you flooded in Elena. Do you worry? You got to tell me exactly where, because it's different. It's a different storm. Boy, these comments go so fast. You should not be boarding up any windows or sandbags, B-dubs. You know that, man. Lee and Collier, nothing. Driving to Ocala and Seminole on Monday. Should you wait till Tuesday? You might want to wait till Tuesday. Any turbulence affecting a flight Saturday? No, you'll be fine. It's not going to be that strong Saturday. You'll be fine. Yeah, there's a preventative state of emergency, Tracy. My producer was telling me that. It's not like a real state of emergency, I don't think. I think it's like just in case, I think. I mean, Dennis, you can make the argument, absolutely they're educated guesses. I mean, we all know weather. I mean, predicting the future is hard. It's not easy. And nobody can say with certainty with a tropical system where these are going to go. But the accuracy over the last 10 years has exploded. It's so much better. The 24 to 48 hour accuracy is over 85 to 90%. But once you go day 3 or greater, there's a 50 to 75 mile margin of error. That's almost the entire state of Florida. So obviously, with being a very narrow state, if it's a little bit to the right, it goes to the Atlantic. Goes a little bit to the left, it goes Gulf. Obviously, very, very tricky. Will it hit Florida August 10th? It'll be over by then. It'll hit Florida Saturday and Sunday. Sunday and Monday, actually. Okay. Where's Otani signing? He's on a plane to Toronto right now. Okay. I would not be sandbagging. I do not think you need a sandbag. New percentages are the same, I believe. There's 70, still 70. I just looked at it. How much rain in Pinellas? I'd say about 2 to 4 inches. By the way, that's another thing. We had 7 inches of rain in St. Pete in 2 days a couple days ago, right? We get 4 to 5 inches of rain in one big thunderstorm. So these numbers shouldn't scare anybody of this rain, especially in Florida. We're used to this kind of rain. All right, now, if the numbers verify like what they're showing from the Climate Prediction Center right here, they're going to be pretty significant, but I think these numbers are actually going to be brought back a little bit in the next advisory. That's kind of my guess, but we'll see. But those are numbers of 5 to 10 inches of rain. The Weather Service was saying, Port Canaveral to Aruba, Saturday. You'll be fine. No worries at all. Crystal River, you're going to be closer to the center. We'll have to watch ourselves on that. What was I talking about? What was I saying before I answered another question? Oh, man, I can't remember. I love those hurricane cakes, Heather. I'm with you 100%. Gosh, what the heck? Flights from Orlando on Monday. there could be some delays on Monday. Wind in Mayaca City, you got nothing to worry about, Deborah. Nothing. You're all good. No shelters or evacuations are to be expected. Really concerned, safe to drive from Myrtle Beach to Tampa on Sunday. Yes, leave in the morning and you'll be fine. Sean Julie Miller, you'll be fine. Jupiter on Saturday, you're fine. No worry. East Coast is fine. East Coast is good. Again, unless a new center forms and everything changes like crazy in about 12 hours. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that is not the forecast right now. Again, if we play whack-a-mole, Winston and Dipper. Dipper is just torture. Dipper got fixed this week, so it was a bad week for him. Dipper is our new kitten. Winston is our Bernie Doodle. And the two go round and round, and Dipper is probably winning on, it's going to go to the scorecards, and my guess is that Dipper is going to probably win in a unanimous decision. That's kind of my guess. Rain totals, that's right, Nancy, rain totals. So ultimately, the Weather Service in Ruskin was saying worst case scenario is 4 to 6 inches of rain in our area. That's what the Ruskin meteorologists are saying from the National Weather Service, 4 to 6 in our area, worst case scenario. So there you go. Thank you. Spring Hill, I honestly think all areas are going to be looking anywhere between 2 and 6 inches of rain. Wind should not be an issue. Spring Hill might get a little more. Miami flights, no delays at all. Zephyr Hills, fine, just some rain. Fernandina Beach, no worries at all, Christine. Anything on the East Coast is good. Cruise from Port Canaveral on Saturday, you are fine. Will Wednesday be good? I think this will be over by Wednesday, yes. How much rain are we going to get on Tampa with a regular thunderstorm? Oh, yeah, that's right, Daniel, that's what I was saying, yeah. Potential rain levels in Northeast Florida, that could be 6 to 10. What about Pasco? Same thing, 2 to 4, maybe as much as 5. Along the coast, a little breezy. Camping Saturday in Auburndale. Ugh. Well, you know what? Inland will get less rain, so you might be okay. Winston is a sweet little dog. Hernandez, Spring Hill, yep, same thing. 3 to 5, breezy. If the GFS is right, then we are going to have to reevaluate these totals. Because I will tell you, the GFS, I'll show it to you again, the GFS is bringing, right there, the GFS has a, well, actually, that's still not that bad. That's a tropical storm. The GFS has a tropical storm just west of the Bay Area Sunday afternoon. That's 40-mile-an-hour winds. Flights on Tuesday into Orlando will be okay. Siesta Key for Saturday, fine. Everybody's fine on Saturday. No worries at all. We're doing flights now. I knew it. Flight from Atlanta to Tampa on Sunday night. Yeah. That's a tough one. If it's a little bit more offshore, you'll be fine. If it's not, there may be some delays. Skyway answer, Jason, I did not see your question, so ask me that again. Car show in Oldsmore Sunday morning. It's going to rain, B-dubs. It's going to rain. Toward the end of it, at least. Yep, hide from the wind, run from the water. That is correct. Daytona, no worries. Rain for everybody, but just not a big deal. Tampa, again, the Carolinas, Monday through Friday, Emily, Carolinas could get some pretty significant rain, and the GFS actually turns this into a hurricane as it brushes by the Carolinas. So that is certainly something you'll have to watch. Okay. Sarasota, Sunday morning, some rain. Beth's team, Winston, Newport Richie. Should we stock up on hard spirits? 100%, Christina, that's never a bad idea. Lake Buena Vista, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday will be nice. Sunday, it's going to rain. But even Lake Buena Vista inland, you might not get as much. You might be okay. Busch Gardens, Monday, it's going to rain. Jason, what was your Skyway Bridge question? I'm scrolling through these. Go by so fast. It's like really difficult. Daytona, you're fine. Yazin. Palm Harbor, no worries. That's my stomping grounds. Breezy with some rain Sunday night and Monday. Bradenton, again, I'll say this for all the people who are asking all the questions about where we are going. The entire Bay Area will be some moderate to heavy rain at times, breezy, maybe a squall or two, all right? The only model that brings this even close to us at this point is a GFS, and that says a tropical storm. This is not a major threat like we'll likely see later this season, or like we had when you see a big old Cat 3 or 4 barreling through the islands and heading toward Florida. This is nothing compared to that. Might it develop in all that warm water? Sure, that's a possibility. But the odds are higher that if that were to happen, it would be more northern Florida than it would be for the rest of the area, for our area. Lily wants to know, could it turn to a Cat 1? I think worst case scenario would be Cat 1 up in the Big Bend or the Panhandle. Miami's fine on Tuesday, Lisa, no worries. Orlando Sunday night flight, you'll be fine. Boating from Tampa to the Keys on Saturday. Once you get to the Keys, it might be a little rough, but you're going to be okay. Okay, wants to know if the sky will be shut down Monday morning. Jason, I do not think it will be. Thanks for repeating those questions. Flights into Tampa Monday morning from Ohio. I don't think flights are going to be canceled or delayed in Tampa. I don't. Sunday night would be the only time that there's that possibility when that low is passing directly latitudinally west of us, and if it's close enough, there might be enough wind, but I don't think so. So there you go. Saturday night in Tampa, nothing. Scattered storms, no big deal. Clearwater, fine on Saturday, some rain on Sunday. No kayaks needed, JoJo. Will you be tanning on? Oh, you will be tanning on Sunday, rain or shine, says Michelle. It will be rain, not shine. We did have a Debby. They return every 6 years, Laura. That was 2012. We had one in 18, and we have one in 24. The drive Friday, Vero, you'll be fine. Monday in Tampa, it's going to be raining. What time's the rain start on Sunday in Pinellas? Late morning. Pinellas Park Sunday and Monday, rain. Thank you, Jules. Yeah, I don't see sustained winds over 35, Alex. Mike. And yeah, Uncle Henry. It's a twister. It's a twister. That reminds me of the movie Airplane, though. Tampa flight Sunday around 5 a.m. Will they be delayed? No, they will not. Suwannee County. Yeah, now Suwannee County, you're more likely to get some heavier rain and maybe even a bit of wind. Okay. Flights to Orlando on Sunday. I think Orlando will be okay, but if there was going to be a day where there's delays, it would be on Sunday. Cedar Key, I'm a little more worried about water rise, Cindy. A little more worried about water rise in Cedar Key. They often flood with a surge issue. That's one we'll have to watch. But at this point, if the tracks stay more west, it's still a broad, I think there might be a little water rise in Cedar Key. Not like a lot of them, but maybe a couple of feet, especially at high tide. Rain on Wednesday. No, you'll be fine on Wednesday. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, well, that's wrong, Andorra. Definitely not. Gainesville and Ocala Sunday and Monday. Sunday night into Monday is when Gainesville and Ocala are going to get it. Some heavy rain. Don't think they're going to have to do, well, Gainesville could be closer to the wind. Again, we're going to be here tomorrow night, and I'm really hoping by then it will have already left Cuba or will be about to, and at that point it'll be a piece of cake knowing where this thing is going to go. But the whack-a-mole probability still is a thing. There's still the possibility, and if you weren't here for my whack-a-mole example, I'll show you again. So, you guys have played whack-a-mole, right? If you haven't, it's the game, you hit the little moles that come up at the carnival, right? They have it at Busch Gardens, right? So, when you get a low that has no defined circulation, sometimes when it's over land, new lows will form, new centers will form north of that, where it can, where there's less resistance. So you see a blow up of storms or something right there. Is it a chance that that could be a new low center forming? There is the chance. So he says there's a chance. There is a chance. Something as little as that would move that track 75 miles east of us. That's how big of a change it would be. So right now, if anything were to change in the next 12 hours, it would be because a new center has formed in another area from where that is, because all the models are basing right there as ground zero. X marks the spot. But if a new center were to form elsewhere, either south or north, by the way, south or north, then that would change the track. If it was more to the south, it would go more west. If it was more to the north, it would go more east. Okay? Okay, Clearwater flights on Tuesday, Gabrielle, no worries. You're all good. Surge and Citrus, maybe a foot or two if this track is even remotely close. Maybe a foot or two. Tampa flights out of Tampa at 6 p.m. Doesn't say what day, though, Ed. You got to give me a date. Universal Monday to Wednesday. Good on Wednesday, improving on Tuesday. Monday's probably going to rain. Are we looking at a major rain event? 2 to 4 inches, some as high as 6. The models are going a little bit higher. I'm not sold on that yet. By the way, there's NFL football going on right now. How about it? The NFL is back. You got the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio right now. Is that on TV? Yep, I'm looking over here. We have it on our broadcast. The Bears are taking on, who are the Bears playing? The Texans, I think. Yeah, they're playing the Texans. All right, anyway. Fantasy football days are almost here. It's a good thing. Thoughts on Anna Maria Island next week? You will be fine. Anna Maria will be fine. You will see some sun, lots of sun. You're also going to get late day storms. We are in the peak of our rainy season. I don't know if the audio feed's unstable or if just I'm unstable, Scott. It could be one or the other, or both, quite possibly. Okay, again, there is the whack-a-mole. And as I said, when you have a low that's right here, right? If that new low were to form here, that would bring the track like here. If that low were to form right here, that would bring the track probably like there. So there's still a lot of questions until this thing actually moves off the coast and develops a well-defined center of circulation. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen before. It's not the forecast, and it's impossible, by the way, it's impossible to predict if that's going to happen. It just is. It's like a whack-a-mole game. You don't know where the next mole is going to come up. It's impossible to predict, but I have seen it happen. Okay, Polk County, some rain, no wind at all, nothing to worry about. Flooding is a tricky one because the way these usually set up as bands, and they might get 3 or 4 inches of rain in an area that's already had 6 or 7 inches of rain the last week. I mean, you guys, we've already had a lot of rain, so it's a lot tougher for us to handle that rain as opposed to what, we could do if things had been dry. Tampa flights Monday evening, you are fine. Fort Walton Beach on Saturday, you are fine. Early Wednesday flight out of Tampa, you are fine. Flight out of Miami tomorrow, you are fine. Thank you, Kelly. We should do a live shot at the Waffle House. What about a cruise? Eileen, you got to tell me when and where. Thursday, all good for flights. Yes, it is. Flying on 10 p.m. on Sunday. Okay, now, Gabby, that one's a little trickier. 10 p.m. on Sunday, there could be a few issues if one of those bands is over us or if the storm gets a little closer. So that one I cannot say you are fine yet. You may fly a kite, Sarah, in Alachua County, but if there's lightning around, I would not suggest it. It's a dangerous endeavor you're about to partake in. Sunday morning in Tampa, the rain's going to start mid to late morning. Flights out of Clearwater on Monday, might be some delays. It's possible. It will have passed us by then probably, and probably not going to be delays. But from Sunday afternoon to Monday midday is when the worst of it's going to be around. Leaving Rosemary Beach on Sunday, driving to Charleston, you're fine. Drive fast. Is our drought over? Yeah, it is. Yeah, Scott, the GFS has been right on it, but intensity's been way off. It's gone from a Cat 3 to a nothing, to a Cat 1 to a nothing. It's been all over the place with intensity, but track it definitely has. I'm hoping it's not going to be another 2004 Raquel. That was a nightmare. Driving into Siesta Key on Monday, I would wait till Tuesday. I would wait till Tuesday on that one. I mean, if you don't like driving in the rain, I'll drive in the rain. I don't care. But if you don't like driving in the rain, then you should wait till Tuesday. St. Augustine, I mean, like everybody else, some rain, a little bit of wind, no biggie. Marion and Sumter, a little bit closer to the center probably, so maybe a bit more wind up there. No. Scalloping, Robert, scallop on Saturday. You may go first thing on Sunday morning. I would not go Sunday afternoon. Yeah, holiday, Tarpon Springs, same thing. Along the coast, maybe a bit of water rise at high tide Sunday night, but otherwise, no big deal. Cruise out of Miami Sunday, you are fine. All's good. Fly to Orlando Sunday morning, you'll be fine. Saturday morning, you'll be fine, Orlando. Everybody flying into Orlando will be fine. I don't think you had any worries. I don't. It's going to be rain, but I don't think I have to worry about it. All right, so that's about it, guys. I'm about to be back tomorrow. I got to keep my voice because if this thing gets close and we're on the air for a long time, but I haven't been coughing that much, and that's a good thing. I got to go get my Diet Dr. Pepper restocked. You are correct, Jackie. I have not, or Jacqueline. I have not. Cruise out of Tampa Saturday, heading south. You know what? You're going to run into it unless they go a little more west to avoid it, which they might. That'll be interesting. They're not going to cancel it, but they might go the wide route. They might go more west and then go south around it. Okay, so I guess that's about it. Boy, all these flight questions just make me laugh. Yes, teachers, I think, will be working on Monday, Alexandra. I think they probably will. All right. Well, I will be back. I'm going to post some more. I'm going to post a video and post some more data and whatnot. But I think we're good. Thank you for your patience and indulging me in my squirrel mentality as I go from here to here. But I'll repeat one last time. Tomorrow, Friday, nothing, afternoon storms. Saturday, sunny, afternoon storms. Sunday, clouds build, rain moves from south to north. Center of circulation stays far enough offshore that we get breezy conditions in the Bay Area, south, Tampa, south, and maybe some water rise Sunday night as the storm goes by, okay? Sunday night, Monday, storm probably getting a little stronger, heading into the northern sections of the Gulf Coast, whether it's the Big Bend or the Panhandle. They need to look at it a little bit closer. There could be some more wind out of that one. Curving to the northeast, probably not stalling out. And heading into the Carolinas. That's it. Could have said that, and then we wouldn't have done this last hour. So, all right. You guys have a good night. I'll do some more updates, as always, overnight, and we'll be back tomorrow night. Hopefully, we won't have to play whack-a-mole. Hopefully, we'll have that center. We'll know exactly where this is going. It's going to make it a lot easier to do the tracking. All right? Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. We had a huge audience tonight, and we will see you on tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.